Okay. Oh gosh. Yeah, I hear you. Oops. My cat. My cat gonna create some noise.
I can't even hear. I was like,
Okay,
who?
I do. I
I was
no
waiting for someone to come from popping out.
no. She's beneath me, like trying to mess with the cords. Probably because she's
Oh, of
still
course.
hungry. She's circling around me like that. Okay, hold on. Okay, no, I can't do this. She gonna mess things up. All right. Oh my god. Oh my god. All right. This is this is gonna be a problem. All right, hold on. Oops. You
Don't
hungry?
worry,
Yeah.
it'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah. You're hungry. Yep. Yep. I see you looking back at me like I'm gonna feed you. You want more food? Okay. And water.
Okay. Um. All right. Oh shoot. Okay, everything's on your end. Do you anything else or?
Pretty good. No, I'm pretty
Okay.
good. Yeah. I didn't bring water up, so I'm like, I might go get myself some, not go get it, but I might have my son bring me some, but
Oh,
not for right
okay.
now. But
Okay. No, you definitely deserve to have all that. But anyway, let's see. Hold on. Okay. Well, then I can say that. Oh my God! Hold on. See, when you're in as many Discord groups as I am, it's like that notification sound that da 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 da. I'm trying
I
to.
bet you were in tons of them. Yeah, I try to get out of like a Discord server like once a week. I just like drop it, and I figure if I miss it, someone will like and reinvite me. And I've like narrowed it down to probably 20, but that's still a lot for me. I'm like I know people that are in hundreds, and I'm just like, oh
Oh
my gosh,
yeah,
and then
me.
their own. I'm just,
Okay.
yep.
Me. Because yeah, what well, I don't think the Discord sound will pick up too bad, but it's just
Yeah, I couldn't even hear it. So it like it might have like flinched on screen. It might have flicked on screen, but I couldn't see it or hear it.
okay. Um,
If it did, it was like a flutter, and I couldn't pick that
no,
up.
that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Um, all right. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. I'm good to. I'm good to say hi to the wonderful, amazing do you say that as prowess?
Yep,
The
that's
Book of
exactly it.
Prowess. The Book of Prowess.
Hello, Prowess.
Prowess. You, you know, I thought it was just kind of sweet because, you go on social media like, my name is Prowess, but it's Prowess. And you are an artist and you are a podcaster, so you
Mm-hmm.
wore all of those hats, each and every one of
Yes.
them.
Yep.
How many hats is that? Like how like do you have
I
to put?
I have a whole hat rack. I think
Okay.
in addition, I'm a fundraiser day to day, so I have a pretty demanding job that requires a lot of travel, and so that right, like even in addition to when I'm trying to do touring or trying to do shows or events, and I'm also a mom. So
Mm.
that's an all day 24/7 job, and then being an artist in addition to that, and then I am also, just like kind of like I would say that I do a bunch of other things that's community oriented because I'm always trying to do something.
Mm,
When I have time in my schedule, I fill it with something, which is a
mm.
terrible thing. I need to be filling it with rest and with respite. But yeah.
You should be filling with rest, especially
Yes.
being a mom.
Mhm.
How much work all of that is. That
Yeah,
hair
it's so
turning
much work.
gray.
Yes, you can see here. Oh, you see that little stripe right there? So I've gotten but yeah, it's fun because my son is a teenager, early teens, but
Oh dear.
he's turning 14 next week, and so it's a never-ending job. I never thought it's the most important job of all, right? But it's the most rewarding, and it's also the most endearing, and it's the most work. I mean, it's your it's never a dull moment, and I feel like even when I'm as an artist, I'm still a parent. So there's certain
Mm.
things that it now shapes my art a little bit, right? Like people would argue like, oh, you're doing this song or that song, or I think about songs that my son will like and enjoy, and he's like the first person to listen. He hears me write the song, so
Oh.
I'm oftentimes playing it. Sometimes he'll say that's okay, or sometimes he'll say play that one back, right? And I know, oh, that's a good, you like that one. Sometimes he's like, Mom, I don't care about this one. Put on like a song I recorded years ago. He still loves this Hulk Stomp song. Because that's your best song, Mom. Hulk Stomp, without a doubt, is your best.
So okay, so what got you wanting to start writing music, and even more specifically in the genre of hip hop?
Mm. So I think I mostly because I was inspired to do so. I talk about a story that kind of was a turning point, pivotal arc in my life as a young kid. I remember seeing De La Soul come to my school. I had never seen rap or rappers and like not they were on TV, and I'd never seen any celebrity from TV in real life until that moment. So it was just the fact that it was so captivating because De La, I mean, they're still energetic and they still have formations, but at that time, right, the formations that they were doing and the way that they rap and the way that they traded back and forth and the DJ and Prince Paul, I got a chance to see Prince Paul. The whole thing was just beautiful. Like I had never seen anything like it. And so I thought to myself, like, I'm gonna do that someday. I said that to myself. People laughed at me, right? Like we were in kindergarten. It was like, you're not going to do that. That's impossible to do. And it felt like it was impossible to do. Like, how do you do that? But I went through elementary school sort of secretly thinking I could do it. And, just I would write poems. I wrote stories. I wrote plays. The first thing I'd ever wrote was a play. I was 6 years old. I will never forget. And, it was like lights darken, lights on, lights off, lights up. But I had cues for stage cues, and I didn't even know what that was, but I knew that had to be in my script. So when I think about it now, I'm like, everything prepared me, I think, for the moment to when I started listening to rap as a critical listener, just as a fan, and thinking I could do it. I heard Children's Story, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this song. And so that was probably, I think, the first time I started Scenario by Tribe. Like there are certain songs I just remember that were distinctively, I was so captivated by them. And I started writing songs, and I would write the song and I would write my own version of that song. And so I was kind of encouraged by my cousins to do that. And I just kind of, fun with it. And it was so much fun. I was like, I could do this. So, I became I became what I saw. And I feel like that made a difference for me, that I could see what I could become.
Yeah, no, I. Oh my God, mother. Anyway, that was like. Sorry, my pets are gonna be they're gonna do their best to create noise in the back. I don't know if you hear the
Weird.
barking.
Boom Bap Cats was, I had a boom, I used to call my cats the Boom Bap Cat. Um, yeah,
Oh my God,
my treasured gems.
man, I the okay. I need a soundproof. um, but okay, so and I do think that's awesome that even over time, being a parent and thinking about like shaping your music to being something that your kids can listen to. Because usually when at least the stereotypical approach to rap, or at least what people think about rap, is being hard, being gangster, being talking about shooting people and like having sex and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you wanting to have that approach where it's something that like your kids can listen to, something kind of not always about that, which is really cool to experiment like
Yeah.
that. Um,
Yeah, for me it was important. I think not that I very much encourage my son to listen to whatever he wants to listen to, and I try to introduce him to all different things, right? Like at one point in time my son's favorite producer was Apollo Brown, and like and that wasn't because I said you should like Apollo Brown. Like I played his music, his instrumentals in the car all the time, and so my son recognized his style, and he'd know, oh, is this Apollo Brown, right? Like, and it was like, how do you know who Apollo Brown is? But they pick up on things, and he would listen to different artists, and he'd like them, and so that for me was exposing him to music that he could really like. And when I go to a show or to see an artist, like he'd connect to that. Um, I laugh because I didn't introduce him, but Living Tombstone, like my son loves Living Tombstone, and he listened to them before I even knew who they were. I was like out of show at a, uh, I was at MagWest last year in 2023, and I got a chance to perform, but they were also performing, and our sound check was right like one after the other, and I was talking to them, and my son was just like, "You were talking to Living Tombstone, and you didn't tell me," and it was just like, "I didn't even know you know who Living is." So, but that kind of got me when I listened to what he listens to, and so I started putting playlists together for him, and a lot of the times it was artists who were my friends or who I knew, and so he'd be like, "Wait a second, MC Lars?" It's like, "How do you know MC Lars?" And he's like, "Oh, I did this song," and it's like, "Oh, cool, okay." I didn't know that so it was really cool to like be able to introduce my son to MC Lars musically without even recognizing it, but then to like physically to be like, "Hey, I know him. Like, you want to meet him?" And it was like that kind of really makes me proud. And that's an experience I feel like as parents we all where you can maybe convince your kids, but they all have their own tastes too.
yeah, oh, I get that.
Yeah.
And even speaking of, because when people of course go to your link tree, at least that's where you kind of have your whole list of music options. Not
Yeah.
music options, ways to listen to music. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and uh, let's see. Okay. Yes. So we're actually gonna go ahead and play one of your songs. You have a whole list kind of on YouTube, on Spotify, but
Oh yeah. Yeah.
this one though, um, and like even like going to your YouTube channel, like you go into your YouTube channel and just see like all these different performances. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on, I need it. Oh, dang it. Oh, sorry, the loading.
Oh, it's okay. It's a commercial. I can talk to this one. That's a Words Beats and Life performance. So Words Beats and Life is an incredible nonprofit that's based here in Washington D.C. What I love so much about Words Beats and Life is that it's an organization that's really designed. It's the
You can hear
longest
this.
running nonprofit that exists around creating opportunities to break barriers for young creatives to take advantage of opportunities that are in the creative ecosystem. So whether that be as producers or graffiti artists or poets, but it's all arts education, arts integrated education, and to be practitioners or consumers even, right? But it's like designed everything from how to do arts management to they have like the entrepreneurship program to college and career mentorship opportunities to learning how to play chess. It's really awesome. So anyway, this they've done. Oh, that's not even this clip.
No, no.
That's not.
Well, the thing is, I was trying to get to your performance because
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool. No, don't get me wrong, it's awesome. Learning about the festival because I've never been out MagWest. I've
Oh
heard of
yeah, MagWest is so awesome.
yeah, I've heard of MagFest, but not MagWest. Um,
MagWest is owned by MagFest, so it is also MagFest has
oh,
several
okay,
different events that
okay.
happen, like Magstock. Super Magfest is the big music and gaming festival that everyone knows, but Magstock is like the smaller boutique kind of Bonnaroo style camping event, and then they have like a maker space called Magfest Laboratories, and then they have like a 1 day festival they do called BitGen Gamer Fest that happens here in Baltimore. And then Mag West is like basically MagFest goes west, and it's mostly West Coast art and West Coast artists, and of course the West Coast indie gamers and game creators and that kind of thing. But it is so fun.
Okay, well, I wanted to get the part where you perform. This
Hmm.
is this is the money shot, or I don't know why I said like that, but
To remind you that you will be there, and that there will
She
be
said there's
cake.
gonna be some cakes that are gonna be baked. So,
wait,
yeah.
hold on, wait, whoa! I thought we were family friendly. What did you say? Cakes are gonna be baked?
Yes.
What? Whoa, okay. What? Oh my
Well,
god.
see,
Think about the
here's the
children.
thing. Right. It's funny because right, like it's still the part that I love about Cake and why this song was made is because it's about layers. And when you think about it, Cake is really about a bunch of ingredients going into this particular um morsel at the end. You're getting this thing at the end that's this treat, right? It's this decorated treat dessert, but you may have it's all these factors, right? Cake has to be baked in a certain time. There is a special recipe you have to follow. It is a little bit of alchemy involved in that. But that's why I was like, I bury a lot of stuff in there. For adults, you hear a certain thing, right? Because it's innuendo. But for children, they might not hear that, right? Like my son doesn't know this song is about anything other than cakes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
He probably thought you went to a bakery.
yeah, absolutely. He thinks I just really like cake, which is true.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Now let's make
Okay.
some. I'm gonna have you help me at the end.
Help.
They stay writing lies, I call it labels, slanderous cycles. I write scripts,
Okay.
75 title, only 12 I know. The disciples, I quit the light
Oh, all right. Okay. All right.
This might be a revival. All these false idols are quick to eye roll. Never slip these bars, dance upon a tightrope. My arch rival wanted to
Okay.
go viral. I'm traveling miles while
Oh,
he
all
laying
right.
idle. But if he knew that I would be.
Now, the reason I'm playing clip because you're not people come in going like, well, who the heck is Prowess? Well, I figured why not even show your music, not even just say it, talk about it. But the other
Yeah,
thing is, what makes gaming sort of like a not an essential, but sort of like a factor to your music career? Because you could be performing anywhere. Um,
yeah.
so
Well, I think so. This is what's so interesting. I feel like, um, as an artist, I grew up as a gamer. I am a practitioner, so I'm a gamer from by nature, right? Back from 1989, 90.
mm,
I, I'm a 1985er, so I feel like the emergence of my life began with the emergence of Nintendo
mm,
in the U.S.
mm.
And so I feel like just as a person that's influenced by gaming and all the different I've seen right the trajectory of where this has gone. Um I feel like it's really interesting for me because most people would think you have to make music that's distinctively like um, gaming rooted. Um,
Mm.
but I would argue that there are so many different cultural elements in gaming. There's storytelling arcs. There is lore. There is
There's cake.
yeah. There's cake. There's it's really being able to incorporate that, right? It's like everything from the most sort of like the fashion aesthetics, um, all of that is also I would call like the meta of gaming that people don't think about, like stories around rebellion and resistance. That is a lot to do with gaming. Stories around inclusivity and diversity. All of those topics very much are embedded in gaming. And
Okay.
so those cultural things I bring to all of my music. And it's really about celebrating, right? I think as a creative outlet, when I'm stressed, like I fighting games is my thing. So of course I'm gonna play Tekken 8. I'm gonna play MK. I'm going to do certain things to restore that energy, but I'm also going to use it to kind of transmute, you know. And I feel like that is something that is we're at this social intersection of gaming and where it's now become the cool thing, right? You've got Gen Con and BlizzCon, and you've got Evo, and you've got these events that are just particularly around celebrating gamers. And now we're even on a rising, we're on a streaming platform that is essentially allowed for gamers to have this facilitated crossover to play games and showcase, right? Showcase gameplay live. So I'm like, we're on a platform that was essentially designed for that we're using for other things. So music and gaming to me have always been inexplicably linked. I mean, you think back to like even like Def Jam Fight for New York or Grand Theft Auto, NBA 2K. I mean, Tony Hawk's. I mean, like getting your song and music in games, but it was also just as important as like OSTs for games, right? Like we all love that. Um, and so that is for me how I embed. Like you might hear interesting things around open world lore and open world design, open world games, and my music. Um, but I feel like it's not inherent. It's like a cake. If for those that know, it's like a if you know kind of a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting you even bring that up, because I actually knew an artist who was on here long ago at my very beginning. Um, he actually writes music about games, pop culture, or hip hop
Yeah.
music about games and pop culture. And I'm not gonna again try only play clips because I want I mean same with your music. I want people to check out. But I'm playing just a little sample of this song just because it's interesting to bring all this up. And there are hip hop artists who like actually make music about games.
Yeah.
Um,
And you know what? You have interviewed. I looked up, and you've interviewed Megaran. So I'm assuming that is who you're talking about.
wait,
When,
you know my history? Wait, Mega Ran?
yeah, you interviewed. I think when he was random, when he went by random. Um,
God, I've interviewed so many people. I'm gonna say
you
yes.
definitely, yeah.
No, but actually
You
no.
interviewed a ton of folks, but
That's
yeah, you
actually
interviewed.
no.
I'm like that's the person that it was. But yeah,
Oh my
I was
God,
like,
that's
oh
a deep
yeah,
cut.
yeah. Rand is one of my son's favorite. I mean, and he is the person. I feel like right like that when I think of who makes the best VGM intersection of hip hop and video game music, like that is what I think of Rand. He's a leader in this space, and um, all celebration to him for being just an incredible human being and also being an incredible artist, visionary artist.
Okay, I'm trying to. Wait, you said Ran?
Hmm. When he was random.
Random. When he was random. Did I
Yep.
ever? Oh my goodness.
It was
Well,
some years ago because I looked it up. I saw it and it was on your site. I feel like it was on the Word is Bond.
the word is bond. Okay, well, I am actually gonna play a different artist. Maybe it might be the artist you're speaking to. Maybe that was because I knew this guy for years, and I didn't even know like that was his name back then. But dang, well, all right, I'm learning something new. If we're talking about the same person, but let me
If
just go
we're
ahead and
talking
play
about the same
this.
thing.
Let me just go ahead and play this real quick, just so
Yeah,
we have
let's
context.
hear it.
Bounce for the Mario, bounce for the Metroid, bounce for the retro gamers and we make noise. Bounce for the Contro, bounce for the MK retro gamers. We will have it. This is our day. Bounce for the Mario, bounce for the Metroid, bounce for the retro gamers and we make noise. Bounce for the Contro, bounce for the MK retro gamers. We will have it. This is our day. Detonator Oregon, lava field origins. The story most important. Yes, my lyrical is potent. Destination is provoking, even when I'm motorboating. Hitman with it, even from a distance scoping out.
Okay, I had to stop there, but yeah, no, that was Darren. I don't know if that was a random.
What's
Darren, Tech Force.
Darren Tech Force? Oh, okay. No, I knew. Okay, I saw in the corner. I was like, "Is that Tech Force?" I saw, and I was like, "But I don't know Tech Force." I know the name, but yeah, interesting. I've never actually met Tech Force before, but I know the name. But no, I feel like you have definitely interviewed Rand before. I just don't remember when it was. But yeah, Tech Force is someone in the community. Sort of Tech Force has performed at Classic Game Fest before, which is happens in Florida or Texas. I'm sorry, Classic Game Fest happens in Texas, in Austin. So I know their name, but I'm just like, oh, okay, we haven't met, but now we have to.
Okay, all right. Wow, this is interesting. Interesting facts about even the music career, the creative community. That's
Yeah,
awesome. That's awesome.
yeah,
I'm glad y'all get along. You know, there's no beef. You know, artists they stick together. None of that stuff.
yeah. That's what that's so important for. I feel like as an artist, right? Like one of the things, the responsibility is there to reflect, to bring core values in a time when maybe we've lost those things, like respecting each other. I think is an important thing to teach young folks, right? It's like no matter what your content is, being able to have respect for each other, and there's a responsibility, I believe, there in terms of an artistic responsibility to show younger folks, right, like what this is about. And it really should be about having fun and celebrating with people who you look up to and who are inspired. My peers inspire me. I'm inspired by them. I enjoy their music. I listen to them when it's not right. I wear their merch when I'm out. My son. I always joke every time he wears. He has a shirt that says MC Lars and Schaefer the Dark Lord on it. And every time he wears it, like we go, it's always a family event. And one of my in-laws is a pastor, a preacher, and every time he sees the shirt, he goes, it's like he wants to ask, "What is the Dark Lord? What is that?" And he calls it Schaffer. It's like it's Schaefer, first of all, and he's like, "What is who's that? What is Schaffer, the Dark Lord?" And I have to tell Schaefer that story, or he'll hear it from here. But but that kind of thing. Like I like to, like to listen to folks that I know, and because I know they make good music, and it shouldn't be about competition. It really should be about collaboration.
No, that's important. That's very important, and I'm glad you have that positive spirit. Um,
Yeah.
how has your music career shaped over the years from when you just started to where you are now, knowing how the music industry just moves the way it does?
I try to be authentic to the music that I love and the music that I was inspired by. So I feel like I came up in a time that was, as I talked about, where I witnessed Dayla and Stetsasonic perform in my elementary school. That ignited my passion for hip hop. But it also means that I came up listening to music that was similar to that. So for me, right, one thing that's very notable about Daylon, no matter what their talent level is, they're supreme lyricists, but they also have fun, right? So it's the the art of having fun in music, and you can hear that, right? The whole entire Native Tongues was like the Daisy era, right? It's like there was Daisy and paisley print that they were wearing, and all this, fun, colorful frocks and that kind of thing. But they were serious about their skill. They were serious about their talent, and so for me, it's really I try to stay true to the things that I grew up on and what I listened to. And a lot of the times I feel like in today's time that becomes like this very I've been called I have neoclassical hip hop. I mean, I've been told I have old people hip hop, dad rap or whatever, right? It's all these words to call it. But for me it's just about a commitment to authenticity and being the voice that I feel like I didn't have. So growing up, right, I don't know how many people I listen to that kind of do what I do. And I try to find that middle road of like how can I the things that I like, right? Like I really like folklore and science and mythology. If anyone who listens to my music immediately you'll hear tons of those things because I always wanted to have like this very literary I wanted to have literary rap, and I wanted to have music that explores these connections, talk about quantum mechanics, talk about G.I. Joe. Talk about quantum mechanics and G.I. Joe in the same thing. So for me, it was about exploring how to weave this tapestry. And so my music has mostly stayed true to that. I try not to deviate too far, but I also like to try new things and explore new things. And so for me, it's also about being like, what can I try a different, some sound that I wouldn't have done or some style of music that I may not have done. A dance track. I just did a dance track with Lord Zay, which is like I don't typically do dance tracks. Love to Lord Zay for inviting me for that because people will say I invited you for this like really menacing, dark, you know, hard edged beat, and that's something that I do a lot because I get invited to that a lot. Producers send me those types of tracks. I probably curate those types of tracks on accident. But I love it when somebody challenges me to do something different because it allows me to stretch and to grow. And so, but I try to just make it so it's authentic. What can I bring to it? If it's a dance track, I'm not, Dua Lipa. I'm not going to be able to generate that. But I'm Prowess, and how would Prowess approach a dance track? And so that's where I feel like I tried to come from.
Okay. What's probably the craziest experience you've had as an artist?
Ooh, boy, I got a lot of crazy experiences because growing up, I also got a chance to grow up with other artists.
Mm.
And I think you know what, the probably the craziest experience I've ever had. I was at a club. I had to battle to get inside the club. Because we were not of age to get in the club. You needed to be 21 and over. And me and my friends were trying to get in to see. There was a stone's throw like party. It's like a celebration, and so it was Peanut Butter Wolf was going to be there, and Oh No, and Declaim, and all these Stones Throw artists we all loved. Latyrix, it was like a bunch of people that there, and we all were trying to get in, hoping Madlib would be there. As we all wanted to like rap for Madlib. We were young, we were like 17 or 18 or something. And I remember I had to battle. The security guard made me battle to get in the club, and then I had to freestyle against people that were just whatever. People who was funny because now I know those folks. One of them was Flex Matthews, who was from DC, but I knew those folks. Um, we get in and we didn't have to pay or anything. It was just really cool. But we got a chance to like hang out and just talk with those guys off on the side. DJ Rome's. Um, Wild Child, like it was really the most like bizarre thing because at that time I really, like I said, we were nobodies, we were children, right? And like, but they were much older than us, right? They were in their probably late 20s, and we were in their beginning 18, 17. But they were they were super children, if you want to say, right? Like young adults are not that, they're not that mature either. And they wanted to hang with us because for them, we were the cool folks because it's like, this is your city. And you guys can take us around and do things and tell us where we can get like the best smokes around here. And it was so fun, and it was something that's so like such a small little thing, but it will ripple with me for the rest of my life. Because what I realized at the end of the day, artists are just people. They're just individuals. Like no matter what the celebrity power that we think they have, just being able. I was behind Quentin Tarantino. This is a true fact in a
Oh
CBS
dear.
one.
Uh oh.
And I mean, I feel like sometimes people say, "Why don't you go take him your music or whatever?" Like because I wasn't, because he's just a human being, and he turned around and he complimented something I was wearing, a jacket,
Oh, I
and
thought
I saw,
you.
yeah, and it's like Quentin Tarantino, and it was like it was behind me, and I was just like, this is like surreal. Like what I
Okay,
don't even know what to do. And I was in Vegas at the time of the
that's
CBS.
cool.
But that kind of stuff, like that to me is like the wild things. I feel like those are kind of encounters that are just kind of humanize artists and kind of
Yeah.
humanize yourself because you see, we're not that different, right? Like we put these folks on a pedestal, and they like they're just regular folks. And I think that's something I learned. And I was like, you know what, once you know that, treat people how you want to be treated. Like it's the golden rule. And so that's the wild things for me. I'm like, really, all the other stuff, like going to go, I've tagged up, done some graffiti art when I was trying to do graffiti under
Mm-hmm.
bridges and ran from cops and fell in water and all that kind of stuff. Like that's to me like, okay, that's fun stuff. But it's more so the humanizing perspective that I
Yeah.
would share as being like, that's the wildest thing.
No, well, that's important because yes, I do see even to this day, people be put on a pedestal,
Yeah.
not knowing that they are human beings. Given that human beings sometimes do crazy stuff, I have seen interviews where Quentin Tarantino's tried to act black. So when he said I
Yep.
met Quentin Tarantino, I was like, oh dear, what happened?
Yeah, he was a gentleman. He did kind of. I felt a little bit hit on, but
Oh,
this
okay.
was more. Like I won't say hit on. He was a little flirty. But
Okay, all right.
but you know
See,
what?
I knew something was up.
What I took from it is that he probably loves women, and he loves to celebrate beauty, and I just took it from.
He loves the part. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, he wanted to, and so I was like, but I really enjoy. It was so cool because I didn't know who was in front of me, so it was just
Yeah.
he was looking for something, and I was like, oh, it's right here. Like the person behind the counter couldn't help him, and I was like, he was looking like for a USB C charger or something. I was like, oh, it's over there because it's not. And we were in Vegas in like the middle of a CVS and just grabbing stuff because it was late, and I was trying
Mm.
to grab stuff and. It was just so funny to see like Quentin Tarantino is actually shopping for his own stuff on the Vegas Strip, like on Las Vegas Boulevard. Like
Yeah.
what?
People do that.
But that's the kind of stuff that also happens in Vegas, right? It's like
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino is shopping in CVS. That happens in Vegas and nowhere else, right? So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, anybody they could be a cool guy. It just
yeah,
yeah, I just don't. I mean, yeah, definitely don't put anybody on a high pedestal or like everybody makes mistakes and all everything like that.
yeah,
We're joking. I'm sure like whoever's especially whoever somebody is 10 years ago, they might be somebody completely different.
yeah, yeah.
But no,
In
that's
10 years,
good.
when I saw Wild Child. That was probably now more than 10 years ago, but
Yeah.
his son is an actor, Miles Brown, who was on Blackish, and it's just like now he's the star, right? Like, and so it's like, um, but I just think that's so cool because he was on that show, but these guys are from Oxnard, right? And like Miles Brown has gone on to have like he was in Free Guy. um, which is that Ryan Reynolds
Oh
movie.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but he's been in a ton of stuff, and it's just like that's so cool because your dad started out being in a rap group with Madlib, and now like so there's some interesting things that can be drawn from that. Like you said, in 10 years or however long that has been now, when Miles was born in 2004, this was happening. So I met his dad on the East Coast for the first time. And yet, right, like now it's like 19 years later, because he's not 19, Miles. Now, like he's an actor in his own right. So, like you said, it's just we see the trajectory of where we can go. I think is so it's just wild. We never know where we can go in this community, in this space, in this culture, wherever you are, and wherever you're in hip hop, like it can grow or music.
Okay. No, that's important. I
Hmm.
love that. And I love that how you're growing, and that you have grown just even on the sense of conventions, because many people take for granted that conventions is a place for nerds to do nerd stuff, but like
Yeah.
you really I mean you really showed, like, just even as I'm talking to you and looking back at this video, you and Magfest, like you were doing incredible things that deserves to be acknowledged and appreciated as usual. Um,
Be his idol and introduce him to the last pages of the Bible. Come up against me, see the love.
like rapping in general, I mean that's writing music. I figured is a lot of it would be a lot of work. Singing would be a lot of work, but kind of coming up with, like, bars and, like, rhyming and doing all sorts of
Hmm.
stuff like freestyle. Like I'm sure all that's or maybe you're just naturally talented like that. But
No, it took a lot of work. It took a lot of work. I want people to understand that too. Like I didn't know how to freestyle when I first. I being around people who were fearless about it. Right, there's always that person that you like look to that you're like just I talked about like Flex Matthews in my community. He's one of the greatest freestyle artists. Black Indian, who's another artist here in my city in DC. He passed away recently, sadly, but he's one of the greatest freestyle artists ever. We had this open mic, and now it was not even an open mic. It was sort of this crucible laboratory of emceeing that was developed by Tony Blackman, this beautiful, amazing artist and curator and creative that really built a lot of our DC artistic ecosystem. And it was called Freestyle Union. And so it was literally a laboratory for people to learn how to freestyle, to learn to be a performer. I didn't get a chance to go to Freestyle Union because I came up a little bit after that had ended. The era had ended for it, and I was a little too young at the time to get in. I would have been like 12 or 13 or 14 or something when they were um, out and about. But I would come out on what we call like Broadway, Black Broadway, which is U Street. It's like a historic
Mhm.
quarter where lots of historical clubs. It was mostly known for jazz clubs back in the like early 50s and 60s and that kind of thing. But a lot of those clubs were the first basis of hip hop, where where people would put on shows and open mics. And so I came up in an open mic called True School, and I learned it was like school. It was true school was school. I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to interact. I learned how to engage. I learned how to listen. Because I didn't know really, I was listening to music, but I didn't really understand how to listen to music, how to be empty to listen to music, right? Like taking out my ideas, being able to really listen and hear what people are, how they're crafting words, how they're crafting beats, what sonically they're doing in the background, how those snares sound, how are they supposed to sound, how's a hi hat supposed to sound, what is the tune that you're trying to get, so I feel like all those things, and then with my own ideas, it was a process, and then I just like for me, freestyling is about letting go. It's there's a letting go of form, right? So it's sort of like we try and attempt to have things be perfect. For me, there's nothing funnier than like when a person says something that's absolutely outrageously like not fits in a freestyle. It didn't rhyme. And those things 20 years later I have conversations with my friends and we're joking about some freestyle that we said 20 years ago that we still remember to this day, right? Because it was those were the impactful things. The mistakes are what we say and what we would consider a mistake. It wasn't the fluent like. Remember that fluent freestyle was so dope. It was, I was using all these scientific terms, and that's not what freestyle about. It's about fun and really being able to really, if you're in that moment, it's about using the environment around you. It's about what you saw in the news that day, emotionally, what you may be feeling. There was a school shooting today, right? Like someone freestyling today might feel anger, they might feel sadness, you know, from this tragedy that it would their freestyle is going to sound a lot more different, might be more somber than someone celebrating after, a victory for their favorite football team or something, right? Like, so those things are just, it's a strike of the match, and you can't almost recreate it. Once you've burnt the match, they lit the match the first time, it's just not able to happen again. And so I'm like, I love being able to capture that emotional experience right then, so that's, I feel like it takes practice to do that because ultimately letting go is the hardest. Letting go and being formless is harder than being like, I can write because I got a form, I got a direction. um People say, let me send me this track so I can hear, I ask somebody for a verse or something, they're like, send me yours so I can write mine. To me, that's always like, I don't want to hear your verse because sometimes that will sway me to write the way you wrote or what it sounds like that you did. I want to just be able to go in and create canvas, and I don't know what you made. Hey, if we happen to line up, give me the direction, but don't tell me the destination. You know, so that's what freestyle and coming up and writing and singing, and that's why it's like I like to sing and be melodic because then you can make your own texture of your beat the way you want it to. You can create your own emotional, tension in the track.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I wasn't like trying to bring up wanting to like the school shooting and all that.
I'm sorry. Yes, a trigger warning.
No, no, no,
I
no.
think,
It's
yeah,
all right. Well, okay. Listen, when I have y'all on, this is for you to be, speaker might not be you. So like, I would basically have no filter, for y'all to speak your mind. Just uh, I I know a lot of crazy things go on in this world, and
yeah,
you probably go all day about it. Especially, you as you just brought up that, but racism, all sorts of hate in this world.
yeah,
But the fact that you just have such a, at least, hopefully, like a good set of mind of yourself and like of your family and everything, and just the talent. Like you have so many good things going for you. Hopefully, outweighs
yeah.
whatever negative thing comes your way as well.
Yeah. And part of it is being able to, it's like you said, it's a little bit of you comment on it, but I think it just affects us.
Yeah.
We it's easy to not think about it, but it does affect my art, right? Like it's I'm going to the studio tomorrow. I can't have it not affect my what I'm going to sound like tomorrow is going to sound different than what I would have sounded like tomorrow had that not happened, right? It's like all that experience is going to be there. So um yeah, it's just those types of things shape the art, and we don't tend to think about it, but I'm like, oh yeah, I like to try to make sure that I commemorate what I'm feeling in that moment, and when I write in my rhyme books and stuff, like I will put notes on things about like emotions, and I put a texture with things, so I
Yeah.
categorize things by texture, so I might put my texture as like metal or fire or charcoal or water or ether or wood, or try to do these elements. And so I might call something a certain thing. I might say, hey, this song, I'm feeling charcoal today, and I that will influence my voice texture, that influence the tone of my voice, and all the emotion that I'm feeling. Or if it's wood, what that sounds like, or water, what that sounds like. It might be more fluid in the verse. It might be more, calm. I might be more conversational in tone than I would for like a fire tone where I'm maybe a little bit more lively and active, and I'm maybe more purposeful and intentional and punctuated in my phrasing. So I'm like, I don't know how other people do it, but that for me is like very important. I put in my rhyme book that, and so sometimes when I'm looking back at stuff, I'm like, oh, I wrote this thing, and it says it was, called needles. And so, or it was originated as like needles. And so I'm supposed to rap this like that's what it feels like to me. It feels pointy. It feels pointed. It feels, like metal. It feels like all of those types of things. I'm like that will affect all of my writing and my delivery and how I record.
No, I get that. Art can have any influence. I bet.
Yeah.
Do you Because I mean, there's so many things that you've even gone through that we could even list. Like, we've talked in great length about MagFest, but I mean, another big event that you were a part of was South by Southwest, and to even beyond that,
Yeah.
that's a. I mean, you got all these trophies. Yeah, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, that was probably the most humbling thing ever because I that event, I tend to, I wasn't sure how it works. I'd never been to South by Southwest
Mm.
before. I'd never even attended it. And the year of the pandemic year, so actually 2019, this was prior to the pandemic year, 2019, I got invited to attend South by. I was supposed to be a part of an event, um, uh, I forget what the event was, but let's just say it's designed to be like a Shark Tank for rappers, right?
Mm.
Kind of like um you help entrepreneurs pitch their projects or products or organizations or whatever, and you write a rhyme about it. You like sit with them, you learn the background and the story about the particular product or thing that they're trying to pitch, and you're pitching it to investors, but you're making a song to do that. And they give you get a chance to pick producers to make that happen, and you create a song, and then you create like it's like rounds. So you have like 3 or 4 rounds of doing it, and then whoever wins, the artist gets a portion of money, and then the entrepreneur gets a portion of money. I wind up the person that was booking it was like a whole thing like through the State Department or something. I don't know what happened, but I didn't get a chance to participate in 2019. And that was my first invitation to come. And I remember having to like take off work. I was in grad school. I was going to miss school for it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like missing finals because it's held in March. And I was missing finals and all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be wild. I don't know how I'm going to do this. And it didn't work out. I graduated grad school in 2020, and then the pandemic happened when I would have went and I'd applied, and so things had fallen out, and then this was an opportunity when it came. I was just so excited because it's like it's not a do over, but it was like it was the right time and the right moment because I could now I'm in a different financial situation and everything. I bring my son with me. I need a babysitter. While I was there, my aunt passed away. It was just like the day I left, my aunt passed. While I was headed to the airport, my dad was headed to the hospital, which I believed would be like a thing that he was going to go see her. I didn't know anything about it. When I found out, my mom said, "Just going to the hospital to visit your aunt." I didn't know that that would happen, and so, and I found out later on Facebook from a relative who wasn't supposed to post that publicly. My parents were waiting to tell me when I till I got past like a certain thing, an event. So my experience was shaped by like I'm here in grief. I haven't been able to really participate in much. It was just my whole entire journey had been changed. And not to get emotional about it, but yeah, it was very emotional for me because that was just like a dream come true that I got to see to come to fruition. But I knew at that point in time, I was like, whatever I need to do to be here, like whatever the universe needed me here because I was there and that was my creative outlet and I could perform and do the thing that brings me the most joy and not have to worry about anything. Like I said, my son was with me. He wanted to hang out in the hotel. Like he's old enough to now be able to do that, right? He doesn't have to come to a club and have to worry about like what am I going to do with my kid? He can't get into the club. It's 21 and up. A friend of mine came. We got a chance to hang out and have a good time. He got a chance to come see me perform, and it was just the whole thing. South by was my favorite thing that happened. Um, I feel like in 2024 so far. Yeah.
So you went to South by this year?
I went to South by for the first time in March of this year. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I did see there was actually a little poster of South by.
Yeah.
And you mentioned like the Shark Tank for rappers.
Hmm.
There was a poster for it, but no, that is awesome. That like you're going on tour, you are making hit after hit, and it's getting you to places like South by, which is expensive.
Yeah.
Like I've been to South by Southwest when they had a gaming session. I don't know if they still do, but like that, getting the ticket and going down there, not cheap.
No.
Uh,
And even with that, I mean, right? It's like we were invited as artists, but I got the chance to perform, and Nerdcore has a special event that they do. So there's a Nerdcore stage. So right there's hip hop stage. There's South by is an exploration of every type of music genre, from whether you're country or southwestern or you are t- uh, Texan, sorry, reggaeton. They have Texan reggaeton. They have like Puerto Rican reggaeton. They have Dominican reggaeton. They have just about every genre covered, right? And multiple iterations of that genre. So you could do reggae, you could do, jazz. There's hip hop artists. There's, a classical. There's opera. And so Nerdcore has a stage, and that so it was also surrounded with also the most incredible artists: Lexa Lexicon, Dual Core, MC Lars, MC Frontalot, just the incredible thing about all these different folks.
yeah, so this was what I was actually wanting to show is the nerd, as you mentioned, nerdcore, and because the oh hold on, what just happened? Uh oh.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Oh
Can
no,
you still see me?
no, I could see you. I think my laptop. Anyway, uh, everything's good though. But yes, just seeing the showcase
Yes.
um that you had, that was awesome to see.
Yeah, and you
Um,
can see all those names there. Shubzilla.
yeah,
Like it was a who's who. Um,
yeah,
so that was
dual
really cool.
core Lex. Um, so I know, I mean, music is your bread and butter, of course, but uh, podcasting. Now
Hmm.
that's another layer you decide to put on. What? What? Tell us about your podcasts.
Yeah. So I got into podcasting during the pandemic. I feel like a lot of people did right at that point in time. For
Mhm.
me, it was an exploration of like um I don't really know what the impetus was for it, but a friend of mine, he came to me and he said, "You know what? I have this idea, and it was called the Grandiloquent Hip Hop Show." And we put it together, and it was he, myself, and another friend. And I will say that I don't think that we had expected to have it go for very long. We started it in 2020. Our episode one, we just created an outline, and we thought, let's do an hour long show that will have like we'll talk about love of hip hop, and then we'll dissect an album that's a classic album, and we'll also review a new album. And so it was like we were going to do that. We did our, reviewed favorite cuts from like a classic album and favorite cuts from a new album. And people loved it, and it was like kind of like our pilot. We loved it, but remember, like background and lighting, and I didn't have any of that stuff at the time, so it was very different, right? Like I didn't know what we were going to do. We recorded it. We got a producer, Marcus Donovan, who was also podcasting and ran a show here called District of Misfits. And we were fortunate to have him because he was the podcasting guru, and he really taught me how to get my lighting together and my mic together and all of the things. Um, but also just how to even my lighting is, I have my lighting. Look, I have it set up now, and you guys can see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just managed to be able to get a lot of that done, and then we did Grandiloquent Hip Hop Show. It was tough because it was just three of us, and we were doing it every week, and a show every week is pretty tough without really having, we would with people who are busy as we are. So we're all three artists. Um, the two artists that I worked with were also in a band together. They were in also several other bands, and they're also solo artists. So it was kind of tough for us to all keep it going. But after that show, I was also doing a show on Words Beats and Life with that nonprofit I mentioned earlier called Beautifully Uncomfortable, which is really to help surface difficult conversations, bringing in panels to talk about difficult conversations. And I was chosen as the host of that show by Flex Matthews, who created it, and for Birds Beats and Life, and it was produced of their programming. But it was really these great conversations we had about celebrating whether or not it's cultural appropriation or cultural appreciation. All these different topics that we surfaced. I mean, we talked about Kanye, just Kanye. What is everyone feeling, right? The controversy that is the Kanye versy. All the different things that we had conversations about. But it was so fun. And so I later on I did a show called Lady Blurred Sing the Blues with my friend Veronica, sometimes V, and also with Kylie Too Smart. They were both co-hosts of that show, and they were doing the show, and then they invited me to be like the third, and it was kind of very, it was very cool to have that be a thing because there wasn't really anybody documenting. I think like things in the blurred space that we talked about everything. We talked about sexuality and kink, and we talked about music, we talked about art, we talked about brand new games, we talked about great anime that we were watching, and all the different things. And so that kind of led me. Now I'm that show ended as well. So again, right, like just people have different ambitions and goals, and sometimes V and Kylie Too Smart wanted to do other things. So they're both artists as well. So it's just like I feel like I keep landing with the artists, but I'm now on a show, Everybody's Hip Hop, and it's called the Boom Bap Chat. And so that show we run it on every other Thursday, and it starts back up tomorrow actually. So it'll be the first and third Thursdays of the month. But that's what I'm so excited about because I got a chance to get introduced to them. I was a guest on the show, and then now I'm one of the core staff of everybody's hip hop, and we get a chance to do awesome things in there. They have a journal that they do called the Native Tongues Review, which talk about my love of De La. They talk about De La and the history of native tongues all the way back to the beginnings and through today. Just like a journal, an artistic and academic journal about documenting the native tongues. But then you're right. We do the Boom Bap volume. We're on volume 6, and so we're all working on volume 6. Actually, we have articles due, and I get a chance to review albums like Rhapsody's new album, and I mean even back down to like Hard to Earn by Gangstar. Like I get to do all of those things. So I'm really excited. Podcasting went from being like, oh, this little show that I didn't know, right? That would be people really enjoyed. And I think what I learned out of it is like I learned how to research in a fast time. I learned how to ask interesting questions that which I love you're great about asking great questions because they're like not boring. And that's hard to keep people like engaged. Like ask me something that everybody doesn't ask. And that keeps people watching though because they're like, "Oh yeah, what is she going to say about that?" Like, "Oh, cool," so you got good questions, but some of these podcasts I see even from artists that have been around, veterans, sometimes can be so boring. They're like, oh yeah, I learned how to rap when I was 5. It's like, okay, and tell me more, So yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what I learned how to do when I was 5? Drink some poggers.
Yeah.
No,
Yep.
no. No, all right. So let me cut it. All right. No. No, we Pawn Stress is sponsored by Poggers, which is a energy, hydration, and sleep drink mixes. So basically, you just fill these cups up with water. You put a little mixer in, just 1 scoop per cup, and you fill it up. It's all fruity and delicious. You get energized, you get hydrated, and if you have trouble sleeping, they even have sleeping mixers. So, if you're
Oh.
into drink mixes, you want to encourage yourself to drink more water, which always good. I definitely recommend Poggers, !Poggers, 10% off, and 10% goes to Ponstras for any purchase. Same with games, because we're all cheap and we all are on a budget. HumbleBundle.com is the other proud sponsor. Again, amazing digital service to get Steam keys or Switch keys for discounts if you're looking to get any of the games 20 to even 80% off. They have good deals running every single day. So !Humble, and again, 10% of purchases go back to Pons Press. What are you mostly looking forward to? Besides, of course, your new shows.
Well, that besides that, I mean, I'm looking forward to new shows coming up and stuff that like I said, I am getting ready to announce some cool shows and even possibly some touring that will be coming up soon. But in a new album, so I'm getting ready to drop. I'm going into the studio tomorrow to finish up some albums that I've been working on, but the thing that I'm most looking forward to, I think, is probably I've been working on this Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon project in tandem with each other.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
they've both been a couple years in the making. Actually, the Dragon Ball project I've been working on that since the pandemic. And people will be like, this isn't even that long. But you know what's kind of happening? Because it's a small EP. It's like 7 or 8 songs. But the thing is that I had like a bunch of interruptions in that time. I went through a lot of different things at that time. The pandemic, right? Like all these things happened, and so they needed to happen because those things influence my writing now. And I feel like my pen is stronger than it has ever been. And I feel like for people who think of me as being a good lyricist, or people who even think of an inkling that I can write a good song, I will say that these songs that I'm writing now are the greatest songs that I've ever written. And that's just from not from me just listening to it. It's from my producers and from my collaborators who know my work, or like the narrative, as they say, it hits different. And it's because I've gone through a lot since I started these projects. And so the DBZ, the Dragon Ball themed project, I really wanted it to be focused on, what the not just the lore of that, right? I wanted it to be focused on um, the aspects of relationships.
Mm.
I wanted it to be focused on what it means to have to explore their relationships in the lore. And same for the Sailor Moon project. I wanted it to be focused on more around the themes, right? Like, what do we really get out of this particular opportunity? So I feel like, or out of this property. And I think for me, that was really, I wanted to link these two things that really don't go together, but do, right?
Right.
I'm a lifelong lover of manga and anime. And for me, I've often seen shonen anime specifically unfairly characterized, right? There's like songs that tend to be made in that genre are sometimes very violent and angry, like have a lot of anger. And I feel like it overshadows these deeper narratives that are like these beautiful character arcs and meta lore that's within in these anime. So I really wanted to. I got a chance to collaborate with this producer Soso, who was introduced to me by Chesky Ramos from Fake Four, and when we began working on this material, So would send me these beautiful compositions. Cecil, he'd send like these banjo heavy laden tracks with enchanting melodies, and then he would title it stuff like Kame House. Right? He titled it things like Flying Nimbus. It was like, where are we going with this? Every song had a title like that. And I was like, wait a second, you've already started to like here musically, it started to sound like Dragon Ball lore, but in a music context. And I can't understand how he did that. And this is before we even lost the genius of Akira Toriyama. But I came back to that project right before his passing, and then I just felt like I wanted to focus on these themes of connection and relationships, and so that for me was like, this is what I'm looking forward to, the releasing these projects, and for people to really get a chance to hear this emotional storytelling that I'm doing, and romance and relationships, and the emphasizing these deeper aspects of self-discovery and personal growth that I also experience. And I recognize that that's the things about that anime that stuck out with me, that like as I've gone through this growth, period, I think post COVID, that a lot of us have gone through, that we're like, the world isn't the same. Nothing about our lives is the same. But we're expected to live in a world that makes us feel like you just come back, everything's back the same. Just come back to work and nothing changed. Come back to school, nothing changed. Come back to wherever, come to the family's house and nothing's changed. And it's like, no, everything has changed. But this is a universal human experience. And so that for me, I hope that people will resonate. It will resonate with people, and I hope that people will enjoy it. But I certainly have enjoyed making it. So I'm looking forward to releasing those later this fall and getting that music out there in the universe.
Of course. And where do people follow you?
I am at My Name is Prowess on everything. I feel like my name is prowess.com is my website, but everybody can, like, if you are find me on any of the platforms, on any of the social media platforms, you can find me as at My Name is Prowess. And that's My Name is Prowess. Chase will put it up on Chase Pond, on the Pond's Pond. You'll see it. It'll be there. But you follow me on anything, and I'm on all of the digital outlets. I'm on all the DSPs. So whether it's Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you shoot, whatever your preferred option is, Tidal, all of it. And then of course Bandcamp is the best place to like find anything that's new that's coming up, because I might not always release music to streaming platforms, but you will always see it on Bandcamp. And Bandcamp Fridays are starting back up, so I'm going to be releasing something pretty much every once a month, going through the end of the year. A song once a month, at least on that first Friday of the month, Bandcamp Friday. So you'll hear new music every month, once a week.
Okay. That is awesome. And this, yeah, of course, this will be Ponspress, the VOD, and the entire interview will pretty much be uploaded and saved forever for your viewing and listening pleasure at any point, as this would be. Ponspress everywhere except at ChasePond64 on Twitter, X, wherever you want to call it. Excuse me. We will, let's see. What do I have on the schedule? All right, so I am going to actually continue streaming for a little bit. I'm going to do some GTRP, but this VOD is available right now for everybody's pleasure. And I try to save the VODs also for audio, because we're also on Spotify, Ponspress, and all the podcasts. But I definitely have a whole list of a backlog of stuff to upload. So I at some point gotta do that. But Prowess, this has been a
Like,
beautiful
silver crystal for anybody. It's been during